your hero piece of content? What's your strategy? How are you then going to distribute all of that content across all of your channels? What data are you going to analyze and report on to back that up?
Welcome to the Tech Savvy Recruiter, the podcast for recruitment and staffing agency owners keen to explore the tech innovations reshaping our industry. I'm Andrew Roger from recMate.
And I'm Belinda from Recruitment Garage, and together we're your hosts, bringing you a stellar lineup of tech experts ready to help you understand and, more importantly, benefit from the increasing array of tech available to you today.
Welcome everybody to our latest episode where we dive into the fascinating intersection of AI and recruitment marketing. As the world of work evolves to an unprecedented pace of movement in technology, AI technologies are playing a pivotal role in transforming how companies attract, engage, and retain top talent. From automating repetitive tasks to personalizing candidate experiences, AI is reshaping the strategies of recruitment and general marketing as well. It's redefining the very essence of being efficient and also effective hiring. In today's discussion, we'll explore a myriad of ways in which AI is impacting recruitment and specifically recruitment marketing, and also a few general marketing tips and tricks along the way. We'll be uncovering both the opportunities and also the challenges this technology presents us as an industry. We're planning on diving into how AI-driven tools are enhancing job advertising, improving candidate sourcing, and offering insights that were once beyond the reach of us mere mortals. Moreover, we're going to be tackling the pressing questions around data ethics, privacy, and also a balance between automation and also the human touch in creating meaningful candidate interactions. Just as we sit down with one of the leading experts in the recruitment industry, Darren Westall from Paiger, I'd like you to start thinking about how AI can help your business and positive impacts it might flood through to your candidates and clients. Now, whether you're a recruiter looking at harnessing the power of AI or just someone with a keen interest in the future of work, this episode promises to shed some light and also some exciting dynamics that play in the ever-evolving world of recruitment marketing. Darren, welcome to the Tech Savvy Recruiter podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we dive into some of the exciting questions we've got lined up for you, we'd love for you to just do a bit of an intro about who you are and what your business focuses on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello everyone. I'm Darren. I've been in the recruitment industry for a long time, 17 years, but never a recruiter. I'm actually a tech guy. So my career started at a company called Broadbean. I got a job there as a software developer, junior software developer, where straight after college, even though I ironically failed IT, somehow I got through the interview process and landed a job. I was there for 10 years, so a decade of my life, and rose through the career ranks, if you like, to become their chief technology officer across EMEA. So I oversaw their product and technical teams. Got my dream job by the age of 28. You know, my wife was very, very happy. She was less happy when I then told her I was going to quit my job to start a business. That was just over 5 years ago. Paiger now works with just shy of 1,000 recruitment agencies, and we help them with their recruit marketing using the likes of AI. And my wife's finally forgiven me for quitting my job, basically. That's where I'm at in my life.
That's what matters.
That's good. It's good to be on the good side.
That's what matters.
Back on side, we're all good.
Yeah, exactly. Can certainly reflect on a few of those comments there, particularly about the happy wife scenario. You've got to try and keep everybody in the balance of happiness, I reckon. One of the things I was thinking about the other day is there is a large transformation happening in the landscape of recruitment and recruitment marketing and marketing in general, let's face it, with the advent of AI, particularly over the last, it's been 15 months or something like that since ChatGPT came into the public domain, let's call it. How, in your perspective, being somebody who plays and lives and breathes in this arena, how do you feel it's been transforming how we as people market to our customers?
Well, the biggest thing for me, if you look historically, as a sector, we underinvested in marketing, right? COVID was the thing that instigated that real investment. But it still didn't mean that we had the right amount of people. If you look at the ratio of sales recruiters versus marketing, the ratio usually is slightly out of whack when you compare it to other B2B sectors. What AI has enabled us to do as recruitment marketers is do more with less. So actually, it doesn't really matter about the ratios. If you embrace AI, you're able to do all the initiatives you want, whether it's produce content at scale, whether it's analyze data at scale, because recruitment companies just sat on troves and troves of data for so many years with not the ability to look at it. For me, a marketer should be looking at their data and then deciding their plans off the back of it. And AI enables them to do all of those things, but with the limited resource that they have. I don't see that resource, that ratio changing in the near future as much as I would advocate for it to change. But AI has really helped bridge that gap. And I've seen marketers do fantastic things with it once they embrace it. I do think there's a little bit of fear about it as well. But once you embrace it, you can see the opportunity it creates for you.
And how have you seen that fear change over the last couple of months? Let's look at it that way, because it is moving very rapidly, isn't it?
Oh, it is. But when the likes of ChatGPT, even Paiger came to market, right? It was they're trying to replace my job. The reality is we're not, right? If you take marketing, for me, there's a really good thing about having like a marketing triangle. At the bottom, you've got the hygiene, the things you should do every single day. Shower, put deodorant on, brush your teeth. There's things in marketing you should do every single day. And they're the things that AI can take care of for you. So actually you can concentrate further up the triangle. What's your hero piece of content? What's your strategy? How are you then going to distribute all of that content across all of your channels? What data are you going to analyze and report on to back that up? Before, we were so busy doing the hygiene that we never really got to get dressed up and go to the party, right? So actually, I think now, your deodorant's taken care of, your teeth are brushed, you've had a shower. You can actually now concentrate on the bigger things in your work life, which for me delivers better results. But I do think that fear initially came from, this is going to replace my job. When actually, if you get over that hurdle, the opportunity creation as a marketer is insane. You can actually concentrate on revenue generation, move away from being a cost center in the eyes of the board, and really, really start to deliver some fantastic things.
Amazing. And so, Darren, when you think about the opportunities and the challenges when recruitment agency owners and people are thinking about integrating AI into their sales and marketing, let's sort of put sales and marketing together or split them out if you like, where do you see those sitting?
So there's obvious challenges around data privacy. There's lots of free tools on the market. Andrew, you mentioned ChatGPT. If you don't have a commercial relationship with your AI provider, you need to be careful what data you're inputting, right? If you wanted to anonymize a CV, for example, are they actually a sub-processor of you under GDPR inside the EU? So I think people need to consider their partnership when it comes to AI carefully, when it comes to data. There's also the technical understanding, right? Because it's very easy to get distracted by the latest shiny thing, right? Blockchain came to market. Oh, what can we do on blockchain? The answer is nothing, right? Just carry on doing what you're doing. So I just don't want it to be shiny toy object. I don't want it to go down that route. But also the cost of implementation. There's lots of people now that would sit there and say, right, we've got this CRM full of data. What I want to do is build our own model on top of that. We're going to take Meta's Llama model, whatever it may be, and build our own. That, for me, is a slippery slope. Now, I hope you can achieve it, but the biggest thing that AI models need is good data. And the one thing that I often hear is our data's not good. So before you start going down an AI project internally to build it, you need to get your data right, get that solid foundation. Consider data privacy, consider the implementation cost, consider your data if you're going to build your own. And if not, consider your partner. Make sure it's the right partner. There's lots of different people out there, but make sure you've got a commercial relationship. Remember, if it's free or the customer. Just remember that when it comes to data. But the opportunities case is fantastic. So there's a lot of challenges, but you need to, once you tick those boxes, you're going to be able to create efficient processes across your business. You're going to improve the candidate and client experience throughout. You're going to be able to do more with less resource, or maybe not make that additional hire that you're going to stretch yourself for. And then there's got DE&I impact as well. You can actually, for the first time, look at candidates blind. You can actually remove the information you don't want to see automatically and make some really good decisions off the back of it. So there's lots of opportunity, but what I'd say is don't just jump in with 2 feet. Take a step back, make sure you've got the foundations right, and then plan what it is you want to achieve. Don't get, distracted by the shiny toys.
So if I'm a recruitment agency owner and I'm wanting I'm wanting to bring more of this functionality in to support my sales team, so at a more grassroots practical level, what should I be thinking about?
What challenges are you hoping to do, right? So if you think about your sales team, what is it that you actually want to solve? If I take Paiger's customer, for example, it's usually the efficiency. We want them to be able to build their personal brand without being distracted, frankly, on LinkedIn for all day. We don't want them scrolling. We want them to have better conversations. We want them to be more informed about their industry. And we want them to write better emails and copy, right? So if you take a 360 recruiter, they're already expected to be a salesperson, a resourcer, really good on the phone, relationship building, data entry, whatever it may be. What we've done in the last couple of years is thrown in the word copywriter as well. You now need to be a marketer as well, right? Which actually for a 360 recruiter is near on impossible to be good at all of those things.
100%.
So you have a choice, right? What bits do you want them to be trained on? Which bits do you know as a business owner? What parts can you instill into them? And I imagine it's going to be around the resourcing and BD because that's what you've done in the past. So I'd be looking at AI to plug any gaps in your business. What can I actually use it to plug a gap, make it more efficient, frankly, so they can have more conversations? I think, Andrew, at the start, you alluded to it being a human-to-human industry, and conversations are what makes us money in recruitment, right? The more conversation you have, the more people you can actually help out the job. So I'd be looking through the list and go, does this activity help them have more conversations? If not, can I automate it? And if the answer is yes, then do it.
It's fracturing and fracturing and fracturing, and the poor recruiter's getting thinner and thinner and thinner. So if AI can, I love that AI can come in and take care of those areas. That's great. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. What we've seen in other markets is people move to a 180 model, right? Which is great because what you've recognized is that one person can't do everything. But the question I'd ask yourself is, what if they could? What if that one person could do everything, but with the support of AI, which means your cost base is much lower? We used to judge recruitment agencies' success on how big the team was. I don't want that, right? Well, I want to judge success on is revenue and profitability. So actually, I'll be looking at AI and going, right, how profitable can I make this? And what revenue number can I reach with the people I've already got? Do you need to split out that model, or actually do you need to make them more efficient? Yeah,
perfect. And I guess there's no one answer to that, is there? Everyone's different.
Everyone's different, yeah. And then there's the answer, which is why you need to do the internal work. What am I looking to achieve with AI rather than just getting distracted?
Great.
It was really interesting when you mentioned the 180 model there. I think you're right. I think there will be a lot more sort of 180 style people. However, the other 180 of that equation will be supplemented by the machine. So you'll do the human interaction. You might have that relationship with the client contact. You'll bring the work in, and then as soon as you put it into the system, that's when all the magic starts happening. The system will reach out to its internal database first and foremost with the beautifully crafted emails, texts, tweets, whatever, post on LinkedIn automatically through the network of pages technology there, and then shortlist candidates for you as they come back in. Have a very short shortlist saying, hey, Andrew, probability is these 5 candidates are meeting the brief in the 99th percentile. Would you like me to arrange some pre-screening calls for you? And then you'll just say yes. And then they'll text.
We will get there. We're not there today, but we will get there. And I'd be thinking about how do you plan your business to, when those things become available, how are you going to embrace them quickly, right? Because your competitors will. Your competitors will, and suddenly you will be left in the dark ages, right? It will happen very, very quickly. We've seen how quickly AI is moving. You need to have a plan for it, but do the groundwork first.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest fears that always comes up is when I'm talking with clients is that, is this going to depersonalize our relationship with our customers, be it candidates or clients? In a lot of ways, I can see it, actually in contrast, I think it can make us more personalised with those target markets that we've got, be it a candidate or a client. What's your perspective, Darren? How can you see AI contributing to being actually a more personalised experience for the customer?
Well, I think with customers, you're always going to have that relationship, right? That's what you do. So I would never try to automate your relationship with your customer, and your customer is the hiring manager, right? The HR team. That's the one that you don't want to automate. If you think about relationships with candidates, and I would love to sit here today and say every single candidate that you have an interaction with, you have a good relationship with, but that's just simply not true. If you look at all of the complaints, the surveys, we tend to have good relationships with the candidates that we place, but we interact with so many candidates that we don't place, right? So actually, can you make it so you have repeat business, a better customer satisfaction survey in those areas, right? What about the people that apply for the job that aren't right? Right now, do you even tell them that? Do you go back to them? Well, actually, the AI could write a really good draft email for you on why they're not the right fit and send that back to them. And then you've actually got the ability to work with that person again rather than them have a bad impression of you. So I think what I would say is we've got really good relationships with the people that matter most to us right now. But actually, AI can embrace everybody else. And there's a lot of everybody else in that mix.
And I think we touched on it earlier. AI will free up our time to do that human stuff that we do best that the machine can't replace, and human doesn't want to have replaced by the machine. And touching on a previous comment of yours, Darren, around data sets, I'm really passionate around having good quality data in your system, because that then gives you a lot more leverage than very shallow data for what's coming to our industry. Without that quality data in your system, you won't have that pool from which the AI modules can draw upon, because my personal belief is that AI it will come through your main platform. It will sample your database due to legislative requirements, most likely, and whatever's in there is the functionality that you'll have to interact with your target market. So, leading up to that, we've been talking a lot with customers around tidying up your data set using different tool sets like automation to get that data in a best format for what's coming ahead of us. And, ultimately, the big push there is not to replace people, but to, get in a better position so you can have more leverage of people's time doing more rather than perhaps, not hiring that extra staff person. You can hire that extra staff person, but you get a 8-time ROI as opposed to a 6 or a 4-time previously.
Yeah, and you mentioned about data. The biggest problem with data we've got right now in recruitment is we're relying on humans to enter it, right?
That's
so
it.
If you think about, come back to recruitment marketing, we could run all the best campaigns in the world, right? We could drive so much traffic back to your website, whether that's through pay-per-click campaigns or social selling, organic, whatever it may be. But what happens is the recruiter gets the lead and then they choose from a drop-down what the source was. And typically they right?
Yeah.
Now, in the future, I see our marketing campaigns being automated by AI. We're going to increase the spend over here because we're getting return. Then we're going to turn this one on. But we can't do that if we don't know the source attribution of the placement, right? We need to actually think about how we're going to get all of that to flow all the way through so I can go from marketing campaign to placement data so you can then make those informed decisions now and in the future automate them. So I would look at right, what data's got to be entered manually? Can it be automated? Can I use AI to change that? And if you can, fantastic, because it's going to be a lot less error prone than a human being.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's been a lot of technology around to help with that. There's, parsing technology that can help, take a lot of those fields to be filled out by the candidate, automatically populated from the content of their resume and things like that. And likewise, as the data flows into the system, there's so many data points that we haven't been utilising much for limitation perhaps on the platform, but also maybe on our time as well. So I'm with you 100%. I think having that friendly AI module on the side of our main core platform will be able to leverage that technical advantage by putting those extra data points in there to do so many wonderful things.
So just sort of following on from that, Darren, I'd love to hear your view on how you see AI reducing biases for agency, particularly, I guess, when we're thinking about sales and marketing, but because that's one people are obviously, thinking about diversity, those sorts of things. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ways it's going to do it. The one way that's available right now is language bias. We're seeing that in the way that job adverts are written. We're seeing that in the way that even your social media posts are written. So you need to make sure there's no language bias in your post, which AI can absolutely do. For me, the biggest one will be blind recruitment. The idea that it can take a CV, it can take a candidate and remove anything that could actually allow a human being to make a unconscious decision around bias. AI can actually do that. And then you can make objective decision making off the back of it. So, AI doesn't have any emotion, right? It just doesn't, unless you tell it to, it doesn't. So it will actually be really objective in its decision making, its ranking of candidates, etc. So by removing the language bias, by allowing you to do blind recruitment, but also allowing the AI to really make objective decisions in the first place, I think is really going to help with that. The one caveat I will make is, again, it comes back to data. So you can train it on the data, but if you've got bias in your data already, the AI is going to learn it. So again, as part of your data collection, you need to make sure that you're actually taking care of that as well.
There was that example it was actually a few years ago now, wasn't it, more with machine learning, and that the example they had at Google where it modelled, I can't remember exactly, but you're nodding, Darren, I think it sounds like you remember it, do you? They ended up trying to use it. Yeah, okay, that's just the one that I remember, and they ended up, like, the bias was really, really marked because of the way I guess the algorithm or whatever it is that they fed into the computer made it actually quite worse. So I guess you've got to be.
Amazon made one that was actually borderline racist, and it was because
maybe it was Amazon, not Google. Maybe that was what it was. It was Amazon, not Google. Yeah, okay.
And it's because the data there was Twitter, right? Now, unfortunately, there are some bad people in the world, and they do tweet. There's no getting around that. So you need to be careful what data you train your AI on.
Yeah, it's the old adage around garbage in, garbage out, isn't it? Really. So you've got. And that's where that cleansing, process, what you're retaining within your systems, what you shouldn't be retaining in the system as well. So you've got a nice tight data set there for the modules to look at. And one big question mark is around ethics and privacy, and I think we've touched on it a couple of times during the session. But maybe, Darren, you can have, a chip in around what your perspective is around the role that data ethics and privacy play with this the evolving world that we're living in with AI-driven recruitment and marketing by the machine. Lots of legal things there and big question mark around those ethics. So what's your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need to enhance all of your policies. You're going to need to make sure you look at compliance regulations such as GDPR in Europe. I'm not sure if you have similar in Australia, but there's something in GDPR around making automated decisions, and you need to be transparent with that. So I think the big thing is making sure that you can verify why decisions were made, why the AI did what it did, and then have the transparency to show that if asked. So update your policies, be clear that you're doing it, but then have the audit trail on why it did it and be able to be transparent about that. I think that's a big thing. And then obviously you've also got security. We're talking about putting lots of data into a model. You need to make sure that data doesn't leak. So whereas before you may have just had your CRM, if you are going to build an in-house system, you need to make sure that you're confident that your security is very, very good, right? You don't want any data leaks. So it does open up another exposure point, if you like, in your security. So you just need to be aware of that. But the biggest thing for me is going to be transparency. Candidates will be able to ask, well, why did you make that decision? Why did you come to that decision? And you need to be able to say this is the reason why, and be confident in that is the right decision.
Yeah, really interesting. I think there's lots of things that most recruiters haven't yet done in that realm. I think there's an opportunity there to, sharpen the tools, be effective in what you're doing, and also then have, as you said, really good policies and procedures. And, I'm not big Mr. Compliance, but in this world, we do need some of those guidelines for our teams. It will reflect on directors' shoulders at the end of the day, won't it, of these businesses if there's cases against the company. So, and let's face it, let's just be good humans, right? So, people, I think we forget in our industry how nervous some people are clicking that apply now button when they apply for a job. And then if they receive something within a couple of minutes saying you've been rejected, imagine how disheartening that is for them. You've got to, yeah, that's it. You've got to really have a good process there to back up what decision was, and maybe put a courtesy buffer of 3 hours before the rejection gets set or something like that into the equation there.
Yeah, okay, that's
I
interesting.
Agree. And you've got to remember that we are playing with people's lives here, right? That's the reality.
Yeah.
At Broadbean, we used to, as a development team, we used to say that we're not saving lives, but we are changing lives, right? It sounds odd. So if a system goes down, we're not processing millions of job applications, which, okay, no one's life is at risk, but, if they don't get that job, do they pay their mortgage? There's so many things that have a knock-on effect, right? So we are a very important cog in the world as an industry.
And I think it's very easy to get caught up in the minutiae of things and the process and the structure. If we actually just put our little heads up and go, hang on, I'm a candidate. What does that look like to me? What is the customer experience here?
Yeah.
That can change things significantly, can't it? Because it's very easy to look internally and have it all, tick that box and do that, and that all makes sense. And then the poor candidates on the other end and the client having some disastrous experience that wasn't seen. So I think we really need to be in touch with our market. And to your point, Darren, like, what is their experience? And, like Andrew's saying, you don't want to apply for a job and then 30 seconds later be rejected. It's like, hang on a minute, how does that make me feel? I don't really think I want to go back to that agency again. But that's, like you said before too, that's where the opportunity is, isn't it? Is to give that candidate that is rejected a good experience so that next time they do come back. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch how this plays out, isn't it? Or is playing out, I guess.
Yeah, because I was just thinking when Darren was talking earlier around that opportunity there of that rejection, around analysing why they were rejected for that particular role, maybe giving them some tips and tricks around what they should be looking for, and then the AI module should be able to recommend other jobs we've got on offer at the moment for them to look at if they'd like to apply for those. We'd be happy to consider them for those roles. Yeah. There's just so much more that we can do to, as you said, enhance and make lives better, I think.
I'm letting my imagination run away here, but you could partner with other agencies and then do a split fee on people you recommend. So actually, in our partner network, these jobs are available. Why don't you apply for these? So you can actually then cross-pollinate your candidates. I'm running away here, but that would be a great business idea if anyone's watching and wants to build it. Go for it.
Yeah,
Darren, let's talk offline about that. I love it.
I think we're getting better at not just being in our silos and wanting to eat everybody else's lunch. I think we realise that, when we all play together, with competitors as well, there's more opportunity out there than all of us. If we do things well, than any of us can take. And I always run by that theory, make your not make your competitors your friends, as in, bring your enemies close, but actually you can learn a lot from each other, learn from your peers, work with your peers, network with them, help each other out, and makes it a much nicer place to makes it a much nicer environment to work within too.
Yeah, there's that beautiful, I think, proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot in that with what we can do as an industry to help change people's lives.
So looking ahead then, Darren, what are some of the trends that you're seeing? Where do you think we're going to from here?
So I think we're still in its infancy, just to be really clear. Like, AI has got a long way to go, not just in the technology, but also in how we embrace it. I think right now people are dipping their toe and they haven't fully realised the impact this can have. It's a bit like when LinkedIn first came to market, right? And people are, I don't really get what that is. And now actually most businesses are built on top of it, right? I think AI is going to have a similar journey. So I think the trend will be that actually things become AI first and then you layer things on top. With humans that you can't do. Right now it's the other way around, right? We've got the humans, we're laying the AI to the things that I think that's going to really flip in the future. I think actually AI will be first and you'll build the humans on top. So that's the trend for me, but that's going to take a while to play out, especially in our industry. I love this industry to bits, but we're not the fastest of movers compared to other industries. So I think what will happen is you'll see B2B businesses, especially from a marketing point of view, embrace marketing slightly faster, and then we'll start to replicate some of those things as and when they've tried and tested it, if you like. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think we'll flip around to being an AI first industry, but it's going to take a while to happen.
Yeah, cool. Makes sense.
I'm with you there. I think if you look at different industries, often SaaS sales is a nice one to look for what's going to happen for our industry in a few years' time. I think they're a little bit more sophisticated sales in our industry, and leveraging technology, they've usually got much stronger profit margins as well. So that can help with investment into R&D and investment in technology. But in saying that, I think we as an industry can play catch up quite rapidly. There's I think a lot we can do to A, prepare, and then B, accept what's going to come around the corner and be very open. I think you touched on it beautifully before. If you don't do it, your competitor will. So you've got to keep looking, got to keep chatting, having those conversations. If you don't invest some time now, you're going to be playing a big game of catch up very soon.
And so, Darren, tell...
As I say,
sorry.
I just want to caveat. I do love the industry. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, no. I think we all do, right? I think we've all been in the industry for more than 2 life sentences for murder, probably. So, you know, it is an addictive one. I think once you're in usually for the long haul. If you pass that sort of 10-year mark, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, Darren, I'm keen to hear a little bit more about Paiger. If I'm an agency thinking about your sorts of services, let's hear it.
Cool. So we basically took a 360 recruitment role and asked ourselves the same question I've asked you to ask yourselves. What can we automate? So we help you to write job adverts, write LinkedIn posts, advertise your jobs onto LinkedIn, source candidates by writing Boolean for you, let marketing distribute all their great content, then drive all that back to your website that you convert more leads and more candidates. So we literally took the recruitment marketer and the 360 recruitment consultant and said, what can we automate? What can we make easier? And we now do that for just under 1,000 companies globally and have around 7,000 recruiters using the platform every single day.
What's next from here? Is there anything that you can share about what might be next? That does sound pretty impressive so far.
Yeah, we're continuing that journey, right? So it's continuing looking at what can we automate. So we've got new products coming to market. I want to say next month, but it may be a little bit after. The tech team won't like me saying next month. But it's all about, again, what more can we automate? So we are looking at the candidate side of things, and that's what I'll leave it as. So more to come on the candidate side.
Great. No, thank you. That's okay. I appreciate that. We can't let the cat out of the bag too far. That's okay. That's good. I might let you close it out, Andrew. Hey.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Darren. It's it's been fantastic and fascinating to listen to you and interact with you today with your invaluable insights into the world of AI in recruitment and also some nice general marketing nuances there as well. So thank you very much for joining us. Your expertise has definitely shed lots of light on this transformative power of AI, and we're grateful for your contribution today. So thank you very 100%. Much. Yeah, it's been wonderful having you here. And also thank you, the audience, for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe for future discussions of recruitment and technology and all things that are coming up in our wonderful world that we live and play in as an industry. And until next time, keep exploring the impact of AI. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you so much, Darren.
Thank you, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Tech Savvy Recruiter. If you'd like to stay up to date with the latest recruitment trends and insights, make sure that you remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And also, if you'd like to speak to Andrew about turning your tech stack into your secret weapon, or myself around creating an agency that delivers you more money, more meaning, and more freedom, we'd absolutely love to chat. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your support. We look forward to seeing you next time.